If you want definitive proof that the Denver Broncos have massive advantages over the Kansas City Chiefs, listen to how tempered Michael Darcy is as we preview this game. Michael Darcy doesn't have a tempered bone in his body, and you could wallpaper this entire studio with his horrible takes he's had about the Broncos. Last offseason, he said the Broncos were going to have half as many sacks as we had last year. We're actually on pace to break an NFL record for sacks. He said we'd actually never see a healthy Dre Greenlaw. He wouldn't play all season. Well, he's already played 2 games, and he's about to shut down Travis Kelce. He said Bo Nix wasn't going to have as many touchdowns as he had last season. Well, he already has 21, and he only had 29 last season. So the fact that he is so tempered in his expectations for this game is all the proof you need that the Denver Broncos are going to end the AFC West championship run that the Kansas City Chiefs have had. We talk about that. He preps me for an interview on his ESPN show. He's working for the mothership, and Denver Broncos country, we took over Kansas City radio. Let's let it breathe. My frenemy in the Denver Den, and look at the glow up for Michael Darcy, man. Tell me about your new digs.
Man, I'm doing fantastic here at the studio here in Kansas City, ESPN Kansas City. Getting a little sneak preview of what we're going to talk about actually on Wednesday night because Ben's coming on the air making his debut. But we're going to talk a little Chiefs-Broncos because this is the biggest game the Chiefs have played arguably in the regular season in like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. Oh, well, for sure, man. And for us too, like this is Sean Payton came out today and said, oh, we're going to play in bigger games, but in Denver, like we're all feeling like this is our Super Bowl. All right. So much going on. Like, do you have a left tackle? What's happening there?
So our left tackle is back. He's back in the building. Josh Simmons was at practice today. Now, when Andy Reid was asked who's going to start, he kind of didn't give a definitive answer, but Andy Reid has done this in the past where he's like, I don't know if this guy's going to start. Maybe it's going to be Jalen Moore. Maybe it's going to be Josh Simmons. And then it ends up being the guy that you initially thought was going to start. So I do feel pretty confident that it's going to be Josh Simmons start at left tackle, but the guy hasn't played football in a month. He had that personal family leave, which I know I talked to Ben behind the scenes. It was weird. It was very odd. But now it seems like he's back and the family stuff has been put to bed, and hopefully we get the guy that we drafted and the guy that played the first couple games of the season, because when Josh Simmons is out there, he gives you the best chance to win. And I think going up against Nick Bonito, we're in y'all hands on deck.
Yeah, 100%, man. But I feel like beyond that, like you look at this game against the Bills, you had Mahomes hit 15 times, sacked 3 times. A pretty atrocious Bills defense that was already dinged up, and they were going into that game averaging under 2 sacks a game and under 7 QB hits a game, so almost doubling that. So what are you going to do this week to keep Patrick Mahomes upright against a way better defense?
Not even just a way better defense, like maybe an all-time defense. And something that we're going to talk about a little bit later is like the Denver Broncos are on pace to break the single-season sack record. And to your credit, I said it, I think during one of our shows in this past offseason, it is incredibly hard to match that production on sacks specifically because it's not just an edge rusher award. Part of it is the quarterbacks that you play and how quickly they get rid of the football. And the Denver Broncos, man, it doesn't matter if you're playing a great quarterback or a quarterback that's not very good. They're getting to the quarterback, and while pressures are important, sacks are even better, and sacks are drive killers. And so that's something that, going up against such a fierce defensive line, Mahomes is going to have to get the ball out quickly, because if he doesn't, I think it could be one of those games that it's like, it's going to be a stereotypical, Chiefs-Broncos matchup over the last couple of years where it's like 16-13. And I can very confidently say, I don't think you want this coming down to a field goal.
No, that didn't go too well for us the last time, for sure.
But it has this season for you guys very well.
I know, absolutely. So what's going on in general with your offense? Like when I think of Patrick Mahomes, I still think of him in that 2022, where he's breaking league records. They were number 1 scoring offense and offense by yardage. And if you look 2020 through 2023, Chiefs were top 10 offense that entire time. And right now they are ranked the 24th best offense in football. So what is the root cause of that?
The Chiefs, especially this year, they're a much better offense than they were last year. I think they're actually 10 times better. But the issue is that it seems like they're very hit or miss. And the games that they go out there and they win, like you beat the Lions by through scores. You beat the Commanders by a bunch of scores. That when the Chiefs win, they blow teams out. But we haven't had a lot of those, close one-score wins where last year the Chiefs were undefeated in those one-score games. And I'm sure, you guys can relate to that this year because the Denver Broncos are the team that are escaping these games, whether it's walk-off field goals or just your quarterback or your defense making just enough plays to win. The Broncos are 8-2, and in large part, it's because you've won those games, those one-score games that you didn't win last year. And it's kind of, the Chiefs feel like the Broncos of last year, and the Broncos feel like the Chiefs of last year.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And it's funny because now that the shoe is on the other, we kept telling you last year, like, oh, the Chiefs can't keep winning this way. And you're like, watch us. And you did it all the way to the Super Bowl. And now everybody's telling me that. And I'm like, well, what? So do you think the Broncos can keep winning this way?
Can you define keep winning?
Do you think the Broncos are going to make a deep run in the playoffs?
Do I think deep run? I think it all depends on matchups because right now you guys are tied for the best record in the NFL. I don't think that's how your season's going to end. I think that you still are you're gonna get to the playoffs. I think you would have a very good chance against a team like the Colts that I'm not a really big believer in. The Steelers, I'm not a believer in. I think you could beat those teams. It's really gonna depend on matchups. I think the Broncos defense is a championship caliber defense, but I don't trust your offense. And it's very similar to what the Chiefs were last year. It's like, can they just score 25 points? The defense is going to hold the opposing team's offense. Can the offense just do enough? And I hate to say it, the Chiefs offense didn't do enough in the most important game of the year. And so we'll see if the Broncos offense comes around. But I think part of it is you've relied a lot on Bo Nix, and he hasn't been a god-awful quarterback, but he also has not been as good as he was his rookie season.
Yeah. I think there's some confounding factors in that. I still am 100% believer in him, but for sure I could see, especially these last two games against the Raiders and the Texans, why you could say that. But he dropped 44 on the Colts and 33 and a quarter against the Giants. What win this year made you be like, hey, we're going back to the Super Bowl? And what loss made you be like, dude, we're not even making the playoffs?
So I haven't wavered in my take on the Chiefs making the playoffs. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, even if they lose to Denver. I think the game that made me feel like, okay, this team is going to win the Super Bowl is because when you beat the Detroit Lions without Rashee Rice by 13 points, I understand that they were banged up, defensively, but that offense had all their weapons, and they couldn't move the ball against this Chiefs defense. So beating Detroit made me feel like, okay, we're back. But at the same time, when you lose games to Jacksonville, when you lose games to, the Bills in the fashion that you did, it doesn't make me think that this team can't make the playoffs, but it's just like, you got to start winning these tiebreakers at some point. And that's why this Denver game is so big because, Ben, I'll say this, and I'm not really breaking any news here, but if the Chiefs lose this game in Denver, they're not winning the division.
I know. Oh, trust me. Dude, I also think your playoff hunt is very difficult if you lose this game because Jacksonville owns the tiebreaker against you, and you'll be. What's the path to the playoffs if you lose this? You got to basically win out, right?
We don't have to win out. I think, when you look at the schedule, you play the Colts. That also could be a tough game. We could lose that game. But you also play the Titans. You play the Texans, and who knows who's going to be the quarterback of that team. You play the Raiders again. That's 3 wins on paper. That's at least 8. And then you got to win, maybe 1 or 2 of I think 10 wins will get you in. But I also think Jacksonville would have to continue winning, and I don't think they're going to continue winning. So I think it's a little early to worry about missing the playoffs, but I think if you lose to both Denver and Indianapolis, then yeah, that's when we can start to panic.
Sweet mother, this thing is definitely heating up, and we got way more incredible matchups coming our way for our favorite boys in blue, and I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to bring you an amazing deal you do not want to miss out on. So here's the deal. New customers can bet $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Let me say that again because it's such a huge deal. If you bet $5 and your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets paid instantly. You could almost say the crown is yours. It is. So whether you're looking at player props, game totals, or you want to stay in the action with DraftKings same-game parlays for an even bigger shot at a big payout, I've got you covered. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered there too. Bet live on star player props, in-game progress, right as it happens. So to get started, make sure you sign up using my promo code, which is STDenver. That's STDenver. New customers turn a $5 bet into $300 in bonus bets. If your bet wins, paid instantly. The crown is yours. Remember to please gamble responsibly. Man, well, I think I love that you have to play Indy after they just got sauce, and then Dallas after their defense just added 2 starters as well. Like that works out really nice for us. Is there any bad blood or any talk when you hear the like Andy Reid interview this week about how the season ended last year? Some folks were saying we were running it up on you when you had all
You
your
were.
starters out.
You definitely were. I think there hasn't been talk externally. Like, I haven't heard anything. I haven't. Andy Reid has never in his coaching history gone out and just completely dogged a coach, dogged a team. He's got too much respect for the game of football. I don't think he's ever going to do that. Now, I'm sure there was a conversation in that building that, hey, the last time we played these guys, not just that they ran up the score on you against your backups, I think the comment that's actually going to end up hurting more in the end is that Sean Payton said that if they would have beaten the Bills, we would have liked the matchup in the next round. Guess what? You didn't beat the team that the Chiefs beat, so you probably wouldn't have liked the matchup in the next round.
Well, bro, we lost to you on a blocked field goal, and the past 4 games that Patrick Mahomes has played against Vance Joseph, you have scored 19 at home in a Thursday night football game, and you won that game, a scheduled win on a home team on a Thursday night. You scored 9 points in a loss to Russell Wilson. You scored 16 in a win that you won on a blocked field goal, and then you scored 0. So do you think Vance Joseph has the answer key for stopping Patrick Mahomes?
I don't think he really has the answer key. I think you guys just have the personnel to do it. Like, I think the answer key, so to speak, is kind of out there. It's just you rush with your front 4 and you drop 7 guys back into coverage, and it makes it much easier to, defend Patrick Mahomes. I think if your pass rush was mediocre, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. I mean, part of it is you just have the horses on that defensive line, and I think with those guys, you're always going to have a chance defensively. I think the biggest question in this game is not if your defense is going to be able to, stop Patrick Mahomes. I think they'll do enough. The question is going to be, can Bo Nix go out there? And, I mean, this is his biggest prove-it game of his career.
Oh, yeah, man. And I think he will. I think when the lights are brightest, like we've seen it in every fourth quarter, and his stats against the Chiefs in the 2 games, like you're talking 7 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and he balled out in that second game without your starters, and then the game with your starters, that blocked field goal again. I know it's not a moral victory, but I'm feeling way too confident about this game, which is why it's going to hurt so badly if we do not pull this off. What's the status of Pacheco?
I don't think he's going to play. I think it would be wise to not play him because he's coming back from a sprained MCL. He didn't practice today on Wednesday, so I don't think that he is going to, like Andy Reid, if you don't practice, at least on Friday, you're not playing. So, I mean, this is something that I think we'll have a better idea of in a couple days, but I think, I hate to say it, but why does it matter if Pacheco plays? It's not like they're going to run the ball. They're going to want to throw the ball with Pat. I think you guys need to worry about where's Rashee Rice on the field, and is Pat Surtain going to play, and is J.K. Dobbins going to play? And if those guys are out, I mean, how does that change, I guess, the trajectory of this game?
Yeah, I would be willing to bet no J.K. Dobbins this week. Everyone thinks Pat Surtain is also out, but I watched his interview today on his podcast, and he said he's got Wolverine blood and he's already doing push-ups, where if you can do a push-up with a strained pec, like I've got massive
Why is he doing push-ups? Stop doing them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hold the push-ups, Pat. Just lock down Rashee Rice. Will Rashee Rice be driving himself to the game? Because that also would change.
Hopefully, no. That's why they well, is he going to be driving the bus? That's the scarier thing.
Oh, absolutely it would be, man. All right, what's your score prediction?
I haven't really thought about it. I'm going to go. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think the fact they had the bye week, I think the fact they lost to Buffalo, when you add those two things together and Andy Reid's record coming off of the bye and tying in the history between these two teams and coaching feuds, so to speak, I think the Chiefs are going to win. Right now, they're favored by like 3.5. I think they'll cover. I think it's going to be like 28-25. I think Bo Nix will look better than you think against this Chiefs defense, just because if, if we have learned anything from football, it's that the transitive property doesn't work. It's that just because you look like dog poop against this team doesn't mean you're going to turn around and be dog poop against another. And I think, one of the biggest complaints, or not complaints, but things that we've heard from this Chiefs locker room is we got to come out with more energy. We got to come out with more energy. And I don't know if that's just like a coach speak thing, like a player speak. If you don't have energy for this game, a game of this magnitude where the division is on the line, there's no hope for this team.
Yeah, man. I don't see you scoring that much. I think give me Broncos 19. You're kicking a game-winning field goal. We block it. No leverage call. We get back at you, and the Broncos are AFC West champs.
Didn't the Giants put up like 29 points?
Yeah, but dude, that was a wild game. Like the officiating of that game was one of the weird. And Jackson Dart threw like a 70-yard touchdown on a tipped ball.
I did. I saw that.
It was bonkers, dude. So, and then they go their last drive. They had 70 penalty yards on like an 80-yard drive. So I feel good about this defense. It's wild. It's a great defense, dude.
Can you give me like your confidence level meter, like out of 10?
I think without Pat, it's like a six or 7, and with Pat, it's a 9.
Okay. I actually think that if Josh Simmons plays, and I think he's going to play, it's a bigger addition than if Pat Surtain plays. And that's no shade at Pat Surtain. I think he is the best corner in football. But I think given the fact that the Chiefs have wide receivers that they feel confident can beat Riley Moss, I think having Josh Simmons against Nick Bonito is a bigger addition for the Chiefs than Pat Surtain is to a Broncos defense that is already stacked.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Well, I know since we're going to be on ESPN Radio, I just want to encourage him to take all the time for him that he needs. Like, mental health is important, and you agree, Darcy, right? Like, take care of your family. Football will always be there. Take one more week off for yourself. You got this. We're all behind you.
I'll tell you what,
right?
If he takes another leave of absence, given the fact that he's back in the building, I think we need to cut him. But that's my personal, because like at a certain point, are you bought in or not? Like, we also don't know why he was gone. And I guess that's not our business, but we have no idea.
Sounds like you don't support mental health, and that is on you. As always. All right, Michael Darcy, we're going to hop on your channel, and then I'm going to go just crush the Chiefs on Kansas City radio. What do I do with my hands in a radio interview? I'm nervous.
You can do whatever you want with them. You can put them in your pants. You can put them in the air. It doesn't matter. Okay. No one can see it.
Can't wait, man. Thanks, bud.
Of course. What a wild way to end that one.
I love it, dude.